This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
Well,
And I'm Rin. Hi.
And Rin, why don't you tell everybody about your channel before we talk about the topic today?
Uh, my channel is an amalgamation of lots of different things. I do a lot of design stuff, a lot of art stuff, and a lot of Fire Emblem stuff on my channel. It's just kind of what I feel like making in terms of that day.
And everybody wants to know when the next tea time with Rin is going to be. So,
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I haven't felt like I have to have good stories to say during stuff like that. I haven't had one. I plan to make a review on the Fire Emblem 4 manga eventually.
ooh,
So that'll be like a tea time-ish kind of thing.
cool. So, what's today, Will?
today is a Manic Monday.
And as part of our Manic Monday series, we always like to delve into a big topic. But before we get into that, we do a couple quick topics. So our main topic is actually a bunch of rumors that were generated by a Twitter account, and we'll get to that later. But if you saw the thumbnail, it's related to that. The first quick topic is that GameStop sales are spiking. They're about 1,500%.
Yeah, this is awesome. I feel so good for GameStop.
Will always cutting me off in the middle of my sentence. So GameStop sales are at
Get used to it, man.
1,500%, the highest they've been in over a decade. We're talking like 2008 was the last time they saw these kinds of
Yeah,
sales.
crazy.
So
Oh God. 2008 feels like yesterday for me. Oh geez, I was 8 years old.
So I just want to talk about that. Like, how crazy is it that during this time we got Animal Crossing coming out, Final Fantasy VII, and there was another big game. What was it? Well, you know what it was. Gnarly brought this up. Remember?
Yeah, I
the
do.
Xenoblade
Xenoblade
Oh,
Definitive
yeah.
Edition came out like yesterday or the day before,
Yeah.
and that did pretty well for GameStop. And then Doom came out
Doom.
the same day as Animal Crossing did.
Persona 5 Royal. How did I forget that?
Oh yeah, and then Persona 5 Royal.
How did I forget that? I'm like I'm always on top of
Yeah,
that stuff.
You're the
You always talk
Persona
about
guy.
that
Come on.
Come on, Chris.
Will's got more of the first-person shooters. I'm more the RPGs guy. Although Will likes some RPGs, so there's that.
I
But
do. I like watching
1,500%.
RPGs.
That is nuts. Like, can you imagine if they were reporting Amazon did 1,500% higher than normal? It's like, that would be insane.
Well, I mean, it's part of it's kind of like it's a good thing for GameStop, but GameStop's been going down in a decline for a really long time now. So them reporting 1,500% honestly isn't that impressive.
Keeps
No
them in
offense to
business.
GameStop. Yeah, it just keeps them in business. It's not like this is probably the only reason why they're in business right now.
Well, and so we have Billy is a GameStop manager. He's been on our channel several times. We've talked to him a little bit about it, and like he said, if this was any other time period, they would be hiring people right now. Like they would be adding on employees right now based on the current projections of GameStop, and it's insane. Like they are probably good for a lot longer than they were prior to this at this point.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, this actually might give them that stopgap for that next generation. Because I know they were betting on basically making it to the PS5 and the next Xbox, and no one was thinking they were going to do it. But this might allow them to do it, so it's pretty exciting.
I'm just happy to see physical game stores stay in business.
Yeah.
That's just great.
Yeah, I work at a game store, so like this is kind of like a good thing and a bad thing because I work at a family-owned game store.
I love those too, mom and pop shops. If you can find one in your area, it's the best way to go. I love seeing the physical games, especially retro ones. How is it working in a game store right now besides GameStop?
Well, I mean, we haven't been we opened up today
Okay.
to give like a I guess a view. We haven't been doing much, to be honest. Right before the quarantine happened, it was like maybe one or two people in every like 2 or 3 hours. Like that being said, online sales went up astronomically because the people have just been so bored that they've been like dabbling into video games. If you didn't play before, spending hours playing video games now.
So, is the online segment well set up? Because I would imagine that would help drive sales for a locally owned mom and pop game store.
So the way mom and pop game stores work is that we mainly drive ourselves off of getting trade-ins. So trade-ins have been like tanked because everybody wants to play their games.
Mhm.
So like your next topic is like the Nintendo Switch thing, right?
Yeah.
We've had like 10 people like a day call in asking for Nintendo Switches. But
And
they're all
probably,
sold out, and
you know,
but they're all sold out because of what's been going on. So it's kind of like that's a lot of lost profit because a lot of like mom and pop game stores that are not able to get into these like dealers that are able to like send them like 10 to 20 Switches to sell at their stores, you know? Um, and if they are, they're like put onto the bottom of the list. Like I know when what is it? You mentioned Final Fantasy when the remake was like a lot of people put in pre-orders, but we had to tell a lot of people we had to refund them because the company was like, we can't send out pre-orders right now. You're getting less pre-orders than we intentionally were going to give you.
mm,
Hmm.
that kind of stinks.
Yeah,
Like,
it does.
I know that. So I've watched. I don't know if you've ever watched Pat the NES Punk, but his buddy Ian on that show constantly talks about how they just stopped doing pre-orders altogether as a
Hmm.
mom and pop shop because they just weren't getting the copies in until like a week after GameStop, and by the time you
Hmm.
get there, like people are just they don't want it anymore. They wanted to get it day of, and that really
Mhm.
kind of it makes the small businesses like behind, and that's not a good business practice in my opinion because
Hmm.
the
No.
locally owned stores are the heart of the community, right? That's what you want to
Hmm.
promote is the locally owned stores. So
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, no, I kind of interrupted you. Yeah, that's one of the reason why, like, part of my thing is like, oh, okay, I kind of do want GameStop to go out of business because, then like I'll be able to get access to these things. But that being said, a lot of like places they won't sell locally owned like businesses. They won't give them the special editions. They'll just sell them online. Because why would they send them out when they can just like
Mhm.
Three Houses? You couldn't get that inside a game store. You had to go and buy it online off of GameStop.
And that kind of stuff is prohibitive to local game stores.
Hmm.
I think the best thing that could happen is you want to have a competing business, right? So the local versus GameStop, the mega corp, where you would have like a network of locally owned businesses working together
Hmm.
to secure contracts, which would be best bet scenario, I think.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. It really just also depends on the region you live in too.
Yeah,
Because like I'm lucky enough to live in like a suburb, so there's a decent amount of video game stores available to me at the current moment. But somebody that lives in like a rural area wouldn't be able to get that kind of access.
yeah. Cool. I guess I learned some interesting things today.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was able to teach you.
So the second quick topic we got is the Nintendo Switch has been sold out for weeks, with third-party sellers asking prices higher than I think it's even higher than what I have quoted here. But the last I checked was 450 plus. I've seen like
Hmm.
$500, $600. Like you can't find one of these things for retail
Oh
whatsoever.
no. Mm-mm. I'm really actually sad. I was gonna sell my Switch to get the Animal Crossing one, and I don't even like Animal Crossing that much. I just wanted the pretty colors. Um,
Yep.
but I was like, nah, I don't need to. I have all my save files on my Switch. There's no point. And now I'm sad because that thing's worth like $1,000 now.
Oh, you were gonna do this before all this went down.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like as
Yeah.
soon as it was announced, I was like, oh, it's pastel, green, and blue. Ooh, that's a really hard bargain.
Hmm.
See, I actually went out of my way to get a gray Joy-Con Switch because
I don't know what's wrong with you.
I've always had all my electronics match black. They're all black. Apparently, the
Mhm.
gray Joy-Cons are harder to find than the red and blue, by a long shot. Is what at least that's what Billy told me.
Hmm.
Because they actually didn't sell as well as the red and blue and the other colors.
Well, that makes sense. Why would you want gray?
So
You got
Nintendo
red and
didn't
blue, Chris.
Nintendo didn't have to keep supplying the gray. Like if people wanted gray, there was plenty of supply. So at some point they just like aren't sending out the grays as much,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so they're harder to find, especially used, to get a gray Joy-Con set. So I did manage to get one because Billy's awesome and he found one for me. But anytime I want to find something, I'm like, Billy, is this in the system somewhere? Can I find this? And he's like, I got you, bro.
Yeah, I bought the gray one. I didn't even mean to do it. Like it was the only one at GameStop available, so it was an impulse buy. The Switch was. Oh geez. For me, that's not a good adult move to do. But you know, whatever, I guess.
Mine was kind of an impulse buy too. I knew I was going to be on nights for the foreseeable future, and I was like, "Well, what am I going to do at night to entertain myself?" You know, I was like, "Okay, the Switch sounds fun." I went and bought one, and it's like, "Okay, I got a Switch now," and all I've got is Fire Emblem Three Houses, and that's it.
Oh my! I was like, So I used to work. I used to have two jobs while I was in college. I used to work as a math tutor and I would work at the food court there. And eventually, I saved up to like 350-ish dollars or something. And I was sitting in the math lab, which is where we would tutor or whatever. And I was like on my phone waiting for somebody to come up to me. And I was like, I think I'm just gonna go buy a Switch. And I did. And that was all the money I had in my bank account down the drain because I bought Breath of the Wild and the Switch.
I don't think probably at this point you regret that decision though.
Oh no, are you kidding me? If I wanted to, I could resell that thing for double its value now. I'm not going to, but I could.
You could pay for an entire college class. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe, I guess depending on what college class you're going to, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
like maybe if I went to a community college.
It'd pay for a whole semester for one class at least at this point.
Yeah.
All right, now that we've got all that out of the way, Twitter. So Twitter, I was on Twitter. Like Twitter is it's hit or miss, but this was really interesting. This guy has this giant thread on Twitter, and some of it came true as I was reading through it. I don't even know how I got here, but somebody maybe retweeted it or something. I got onto this thing. He said there's a Fire Emblem 3DS remake for Fire Emblem 6 and 7 in the same package as Fire Emblem Echo's Blazing Sword. That was the name they were going to call it. It was going to go to the 3DS, and I was like, okay, that's interesting, but that didn't happen. So what else does this say? And they were like, so they got a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Wario Land, Virtual Boy remake. I was like, that's weird. New Style Boutique 4 and Paper Mario 64 remake was planned for the 3DS. So we didn't get any of those on the 3DS, I don't think. I don't know about the New Style Boutique 4, but the rest of them I don't remember ever seeing. And then following that, he said, for the first half, the Nintendo Switch lineup of 2020 will be Brain Training Switch, Tokyo.
Yeah, I was about to say you need to get that game.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which is a game I never thought would come to the Switch because I was like, okay, this is a niche Wii U title, it'll never happen, and then it happened. So
yes, it did.
now I regret the Wii U. No, I'm just kidding. I don't regret the Wii U, but a little less important to me now than it was. The Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, Animal Crossing New Horizons. This guy predicted Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think that was like rumored heavily, and I think Nintendo even was part of that. The other thing, this is before any of this was announced. Even Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, this is before any of this was announced. Pikmin 3 Deluxe, we haven't seen that yet either. I know my brother-in-law will be very excited about that. A new Donkey Kong Country. And this is the one actually that solidified this rumor for me. Because when you looked at the Paper Mario commercial that came out a couple weeks ago, they had a Metroid Prime helmet and a Donkey Kong helmet. And I was like, Metroid and Donkey Kong? This can't be a coincidence. And it just goes on and on and on and on. New Metroid game, new Toad, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, I think, or whatever it is. WarioWare, which I would be super ecstatic to see WarioWare on the Switch. That is a perfect platform for WarioWare. And a Kirby franchise game. So all these things are rumored, and a lot of these Switch games have already been proven to be true. So the question is, since they have Paper Mario 64 remake in this first tweet, and we instead have Paper Mario Origami King, I can't remember what the name of it is.
I believe you're right.
Are any of these other games that were originally planned for the 3DS now coming to the Switch? Is this rumor still have the weight that it had, with all these other games, right? So my first thing I want to talk about is how many of these things, like other than what I just mentioned, is there anything else in here that you guys noticed that came true that I haven't already mentioned? I might have skipped over something. I don't know. What do you guys have on this?
I don't think he missed anything. I was just surprised by how many he actually did get right, especially if you count the Paper Mario one as the the game that's coming out now. It's kind of remarkable.
I think that I think a lot of what he said, I'm more surprised that he got the actual names correct as opposed to the actual titles themselves, because the Paper Mario thing isn't that surprising, because I think like every 4 years they release a Paper Mario, and it's about 4 years since the last one has been made, so this is about the right time for another Paper Mario to come out. Whether it's good or not is debatable. A lot of people said Color Splash isn't that good. I didn't play it, so I don't know.
You're not missing much.
But like otherwise, I think a lot of what he said has been stuff that I think is very easily predictable. Again, I'm very surprised he was just able to predict the titles. Like Animal Crossing New Horizons, I don't know if this was made before the like actual game was like released, but that's exactly the title of Animal Crossing, so it's kind of like that's where I get most of his credibility from.
I've been saying since I originally bought my Wii U and got Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE that there was no way that game was ever coming to the Switch. So that actually surprised me quite heavily that he predicted that was coming to the Switch in 2020 of all years.
I think that was a big thing because Persona 5 did really hit the market really well. And Persona is like a spin-off of Tokyo Mirage Sessions. So
SMT, Tokyo Mirage Sessions is a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei and it's crossed with the Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
So Persona is a spin-off of the same series that Tokyo Mirage Sessions is a spin-off of.
So what's better to say is like I don't remember how long before like when did Three Houses compared to when this when did Three Houses come out compared to when this tweet came out? Because Tokyo Mirage Sessions came out after Three Houses, so yes. They saw how well Three Houses did, which Three Houses did better than all the previous Fire Emblem games, I believe.
It just passed Fates, I think last week or the week before that, because I know Mang has a video on it.
Which is very impressive because Fates is 3 games if you count all 3 parts. So, so if they saw that, this is doing really well, any game from the Wii U is so easily portable right now to the Switch that it's free money to like just port those over. And it really is. It's free money.
Yeah.
Like I feel bad for the people who bought Twilight Princess and the fucking what is it called? Wind Waker. Like if it gets ported over, this will be the 3rd time you're going to be buying it? The 4th time?
Yep.
Twilight Princess, 4th time. You got the GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U, and now the Switch.
Yeah, so I mean, like, geez. Like, I am the same person that has bought in all 4 if it comes over to the Switch, but...
I would gladly pay for the Wind Waker portable. I would gladly do it.
And I think they really should, because so few people bought the Wii U in general. And I'm willing to bet one of the main reasons why people bought the Wii U is because of the Wind Waker port.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't ported. I'm actually expecting Skyward Sword before the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just did all 3.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, like one little package. Skyward Sword did not do that well because of the motion controls.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. I played through it once. I probably won't do it again unless they get rid of the motion controls.
Yeah, because it's annoying.
It was like.
I mean, that's how Twilight Princess was too, and I was like, oh, it's gotta. Yeah.
That's why the Wii U version is so great, because it's HD Twilight Princess without motion controls. You can play with the motion controls, but you don't have to. I played through it on the GameCube, so. Oh yeah. It is really weird.
Yeah, it's super weird. I like the first time and the only time I've ever played through it was on the Wii. I'm missing out on the Wii U version.
Yeah, the two of us were suckers and bought the Wii U, so.
I mean, I have the Wii U.
Oh, you do too? Okay.
I have the Wii U. There's a lot of I have a special edition of Tokyo Mirage Sessions for the Wii U, the FE one.
Oh, you did?
I haven't opened it because it's new and sealed, and I don't want to open it because that increases the value. That will probably stay stagnant, to be honest.
Have you actually played it?
It's not my kind of game, to be honest.
Okay. It's actually pretty heavily based in the dungeon crawling versus like the Persona and Fire Emblem 3 Houses that have more of a social aspect to them.
Yeah, and that's what I've been able to tell. I the only reason why I bought it is because Fire Emblem collection.
Yeah.
I had to increase it, and then it was at the video game store I worked, before I worked there. It was there, and I was just like, okay, I am buying this.
Yeah, I would have bought one too if I had the option at the time, and after I bought just the standard copy, I'm not going to go back and buy the special edition.
You say that now, Chris.
You see, I already had the standard edition too.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But I saw it was sealed. That's what it was. That it was sealed, and I was like, I have to get it.
It was the perception of value.
Well, yeah, it's like, oh, okay, it has an art book, and it has, I guess, a cool cardboard box.
Did you get the Fate special edition too?
I didn't get it at the time of release, but I do have it now. I've
got just the case and the cart. I'm still angry that I didn't get the box and everything else with it.
Yeah, because it's worth like 300 now. Because I have it sealed.
Oh, jeez.
And I was lucky to get that. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I bet.
I wasn't even again, I wasn't working at the video game store. I came in one day and I saw it, and I also saw just Fire Emblem 7 on the table, and I like freaked out, and I was like, please set aside Fates and I will buy Fire Emblem 7 right now.
7 is totally worth it. I love Fire Emblem 7.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm doing a let's play of it on my streaming,
Yeah.
infrequently streaming it. But yeah. So Fire Emblem 7. Now that we've come full circle back to Fire Emblem 7 here, that is the part that stands out the most to me. The chance of a Fire Emblem 6 and 7 remake, which 6 has never come out in the States officially. We got the translated patches in Serene's Forest and all the different Fire Emblem forums, but Fire Emblem 6 in English, especially if they kind of fix some of the Roy mechanics where he never actually promotes until you give him the sword right at the end of the game. That would be epic. I would gladly pay $100 for a special edition of that. Gladly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think about
completely redo it like they did with Link's Awakening, at least as far as the art style.
Oh, I'm fine with that, but keep the character portraits as close as possible to the originals. I know that a lot of people like the Fire Emblem Heroes versions of Roy and Eloyd. I still prefer the character portraits from the original game.
I think they'll probably they might not use the same artist, but they'll do something similar to Echoes, where it'll be a very, very, very true to be made remake. It'll be very similar to the original one. I don't think it's going to be remade though, in my opinion.
You think this is done after they canceled it on 3DS?
No. I think they probably canceled it on 3DS because the 3DS has been on such a big decline in terms of sales. Like, they're about to cancel the eShop, from rumors I've heard at least.
I've seen that too.
But I think so my thing is that the two games that probably need to be remade the most, or ported at least, would be Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. And that's because, though they're still playable right now and lots of people still have a GameCube and a Wii, they're the two most expensive Fire Emblem games if you don't count the Fate Special Edition. They're very rare and very hard to get. Whereas it's really easy to emulate FE6 and apply the translation patch to it. Now, whether Nintendo takes that into consideration, I don't know, but it's very true. But I can see the argument that Roy is in Smash. So that's free real estate as far as I'm concerned. I can see a lot of people wanting to buy FE6 remade because Roy's in Smash, and they're like, oh, it's Roy, it's red-haired guy, same guy. Bye. But Ike's also in Smash, and I think Ike is probably more well-liked than Roy. I don't know, though, but I think he is. I don't know. I think probably Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn would make more sense and be more beneficial to the Fire Emblem community, but I would not mind seeing an FE6 remake. But I don't want it to be combined. Well, I can see... I don't want it, but I do want it.
I kind of like the idea of it being combined because it gives them some level of ability to adjust some things, like balancing some things. And then you could almost implement like a generational thing like they did with Fire Emblem 4, where you have some kids from some of the pairings from what would be FE7 going forward to FE6, because really they should remake it in that order where you play through FE7 first and then go through FE6. And FE6 probably needs more retooling than FE7, just because of things like Roy not actually promoting class, and that would be really, really jarring to a lot of Fire Emblem fans who never played 6.
So I think the problem with that, not problem. I agree with that. I think, but more that FE7 needs more retooling, because there's a lot of stuff in FE7 that just blatantly contradicts FE6. And a lot of that has to do with story. So it's almost like you'd have to rewrite completely the story of FE7 just to make sure it lines up very well with FE6. Or vice versa. Because FE6, the story is very solid, and if you play through it and you read it, and it makes a lot of sense. But if you play through FE7, there's a lot of stuff that's like, what? That doesn't make sense. You've been able to teleport this entire time, but you're not going to teleport in the moment you're in danger? Huh? So that, stuff like that needs to be rewritten to at least make sense. I don't know, a rock crushes him or some shit.
Yeah, you're definitely not off track there. I agree with you in all of your opinions on that. I think that's why you got to retool. They got to do some retooling on both ends, and nobody's going to be entirely happy. But if they can get it as good as they did Echoes for Gaiden, I would be at least happy with it.
What they need to change is the hit rates in FE6. Because Roy not promoting story wise makes a lot of sense because he is
Yeah.
15 and he's like, oh, okay, I'm learning through this entire experience. I was learning to how to, like before this war happened, I was learning to how to be a general and in general, get it. But like he's 15 and he's learning how to do all this stuff, right? So him not promoting till the very end of the game, story wise, makes a lot of sense.
It does, and so does the difference in character levels in Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. But I still think those two things are going to be so jarring to people that started with like Awakening or like with Fates, where everybody promotes and everybody can do everything essentially. I think that audience is not ready for a game like 7 in its current state or 6 in its current state necessarily.
Oh
I
no,
think
I
they would
agree.
probably would give Roy a promotion. It may be towards the end of the game like it already is with the sword, but I think he needs a promotion just
Hmm.
to keep it from being so jarring for most
Yeah.
people. And they could even extend the story a little bit for all I care, add some stuff to it. They did a really great job adding in story elements to Echo's Shadows of Valencia,
Hmm.
which I did play through guide, and I'm one of the people that did.
I'm sorry. Did you
uh,
get Alm to promote?
I can't. It was so long ago. It was like probably 2005, 2006. Whatever time the translation patch came out was when I played it.
Hmm.
Because I finished Path of Radiance in like a week, and
Hmm.
then jumped right into all the old games after that because I was like so thirsty for Fire Emblem. I was on the Serene's Forest forums like from the inception of them practically. But anyways, yeah. So I played through Gaiden like forever ago, and I was so happy to see Echoes come out because there was no way I was ever playing through Gaiden again.
Oh yeah, Guy's awful.
Oh man! If any game needed a remake, there's your remake. Um, so if you had to pick a particular game in the series to get a remake, and it wasn't going to be the 6 and 7 package, you would pick Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn.
Yeah, because I think they're both, aside from the qualms I have with Radiant Dawn, I think they're both really good games, and probably more towards my favorite Fire Emblem games. And I'll
Uh oh,
just hi.
you just glitched out for a second there. Repeat what you said.
Most people don't have easy access to them, so I think it's going to be a lot easier if people can just buy them a lot easier. Because it's hard to emulate both of them because they're very taxing on the computer.
Yeah, it totally is. And Will, I know you don't have a massive opinion on the Fire Emblem series as far as what to get remade, but from what we've discussed in the past, my guess is that you would be gunning for the 6 and 7 remake.
Oh yeah, I would be so pumped. That would be a day one purchase for me.
If I had to
Even
pick,
if they just release it in the same state as again, just on the new
just like
system,
HD
I'd
widescreen.
be totally for that.
You could get a couple more character portraits in widescreen, and on the screen you wouldn't have to alternate people in and out like they did in the GBA versions. But I think if I was gonna pick a remake, I would love to see Thracia 776 remade, but I think I'm still gonna go with Fire Emblem 3 because we've never gotten the
Again?
full the. I know. Just hear me out. The U.S. has never gotten the full story in one go. It's always been like, okay, you get one part of it and that's it, or you get like some portion of the story thrown into Awakening and some time travel sense. It's never been like you get both halves of Fire Emblem 3 in one complete package in English. We've never gotten that. I know it's easy to translate and all that other good stuff, but I would love to see it in like the Fire Emblem 3 Houses style. It'd be pretty great.
You could say the same thing for FP6 and FP7, though. You
You
still
could.
only have one portion of the story.
It's not as directly connected, and it's not never been made into one game like 3 was. Like
Yeah, I guess.
that was more my thought process there. Like I played through Fire Emblem 3 all the way through, and I played through. I did play through 1. I can't tell you anything about it because it's been so long since I did so. But
Probably for the
3,
better.
3 was so much better. I even with the couple missing characters and missing levels, it was way better to play through that than Fire Emblem 1. But anyways, we've gone on way too long on this episode at this point. So if you guys have some closing thoughts, I'd love to hear them.
I'm excited for if any of these games come true. I'd be very excited, and I'm particularly excited about FE6 and 7.
If it happens.
Yeah.
It'll probably happen. I think the next game is going to be a remake, in my opinion.
I think it would be in Nintendo's best interest to do a new game followed by an Echoes game, because half the work's already done for them in the Echoes games, and it's free money, like you said before. Doing any kind of remake is free money. So I would love to see this Fire Emblem 6 and 7. I've said it for a long time. And what I would even love to see even more is like a quick little prologue of Eliwood's dad in the beginning.
Oh yeah, that'd be cute.
That'd be awesome. Give us like 5 levels of Eliwood's dad leading up to Fire Emblem 7. So, anyways,
Krillin mode.
if you want to see these tweets, go to the Twitter account at NEWMARKOMARO. It's like New Markomaro. That's the best pronunciation I'm going to give you. And I will link this tweet, because I have the link to it in our outline here, in the pinned comment to this video if you want to find it yourself. So, as always, I am Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Rin.
And we will see you
on the next CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.